order for the Economic Development Authority for March 9th, 2021. Question for you. Do we have to take roll call, Heather?
We do because Les is on Zoom.
Okay. Well, then we'll start with a roll call.
Okay. Commissioner Becker,
Yeah, here.
Commissioner Fix,
Oh, present.
Commissioner Yanni. Here. Commissioner Peterson,
Here.
Commissioner Schultz,
Yes.
President Brown.
Yes. All right. Then I think our first order of business is to the public notice to conduct a meeting by teleconference.
I'll make a motion to receive and order file the public notice.
Second, Les.
We have a first and second. Any other discussion? Otherwise, we'll call roll for vote.
Commissioner Becker,
Yes.
Commissioner Fix.
Yes.
Commissioner Yanni. Yes. Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Schultz,
Yes.
President Brown.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is 3.1, approval of the minutes from our February 9th meeting.
I'll move them.
I'll second.
Motion and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, let's again call the roll for vote.
Commissioner Becker,
Yes.
Commissioner Fix.
Yes.
Commissioner Yanni. Yes. Commissioner Peterson.
Yes.
Commissioner Schultz,
Yes.
President Brown.
Yes. Item 4.1, administrative activities for February 2021. This is
Right.
your items, Heather?
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners and President Brom. You have the report in your packet. I'll just highlight a couple things for you this month. Note that we did receive an application for the Homebuyer Assistance Loan Program, and that application has been approved. That applicant is currently house hunting. And the only other item of note is that the unit upgrades at Garden Terrace continue for the tenants who opted in for the kitchen and bathroom upgrades. Otherwise, it was a pretty quiet month.
I'll make a motion to accept the Economic Development Authority Administrative Activities Report for the month of February.
Second.
We have a first and second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the roll for the vote.
Commissioner Becker,
Yes.
Commissioner Fix.
Yes.
Commissioner Yanni. Yes. Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Schultz,
Yes.
President Brown.
Yes. Item 5.1, to review the utility allowance for schedules for the Section 8 voucher program for 2021.
All right, this is an annual item, so for the commissioners that are new to the board, I'll just give you an overview. So the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program provides rental assistance to low-income households, and we administer that program, and it actually covers all of Brown County, Minnesota. So with this program, participants pay approximately 30% of their adjusted income toward their rent and utility costs. And so because we have to take into account if there's tenant-paid utilities in the unit that they're renting, we come up every year with a utility allowance schedule that we use to give our best guess at what their average utilities might run. So there's several different utility allowance schedules because we have one for New Ulm, Sleepy Eye, Springfield, and also for rural Brown County. So anyone in the country would use that schedule. And that does happen rarely, but it has happened that we've had someone renting a house in the country. So we use that rural schedule. And then each schedule has an allowance depending on the type of unit, whether it's an apartment, a mobile home, a duplex, or a single-family home. And then also bedroom size is taken into account. So every year we contact all the local utility companies and get their current rates for natural gas, electric, water, sewer, and trash collection. And then we take those rates and plug them into a formula for the type of unit, size of unit, and we use the average utility consumption for the unit accordingly. And we come up with a utility schedule. These get updated every year. For 2021 utility allowances, they've remained fairly flat. There weren't a lot of major utility changes at all. Notable changes that I'll highlight for you this year were slight increases to the water and sewer rates for Sleepy Eye and Springfield, and then slight increases for LP and heating oil across the board for all communities, although the LP and heating oil utilities are very rarely used. The only time I can recall using those would be, again, for someone renting a house in the country that would have LP heat. The changes that we're seeing this year should have a very minimal impact on our program expenditures for the upcoming year. And then I did include the utility schedules for your review. In red are the new rates compared to, in black, the rates from last year. So. Are there any questions on any of that?
Heather, you've probably been asked already, but with the gas increases at PUC for February, are we addressing that in any, I know the PUC bought it down by 2.6 million, but we're still going to see a lot of our tenants having incredibly high bills. Are we doing anything? Has there been talk of doing anything? Or are we just doing what the PUC is set up?
Well, I actually start working on these in December, and so that was prior to this spike that we had here in February. If anything, that will be reflected next year. But that doesn't really help people that are going to have that high utility bill coming out next month. Now, these utility allowance schedules don't go into effect until May 1st. So these changes, aren't going to help that March bill anyway. But I don't know that it'll affect the utility rates next year either, because depending on what the rates are when I start calling in December, that's what we'll use for the upcoming year again. So, this one-time spike, I don't think is going to affect the rates this year or probably next year. But that's a good question.
I'll offer the motion to approve the revised utility allowance schedules for the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program effective May 1st, 21.
I'll second that.
We have a first and second. Just one additional question that I have for you, Heather. This is something, once it's set for this year, we can't go back and revisit this. Say if we have tenants that would come in mid-year having been negatively impacted with this recent spike, is that something that can be adjusted mid-year with this type of budgetary allowance?
We probably could. We're required to review them annually, but I don't think there's anything that says we can't do them more often.
Sure.
I don't think it ever has been done more than annually, but
Sure.
it probably could be.
Would it pay, and this, again, is just for the Section 8 program itself, and this is just an allowance for their specific utility costs, so it's
Now,
kind
keep
of...
in mind, a lot of the people on this program usually qualify for energy assistance.
Exactly, that's what, that's what I was getting at. There's other safety
programs.
measures in play, but I guess my thought would be if for you, if you start fielding a lot of calls and it seems to center relating to some of their energy costs, that would be something that we could potentially come back to and revisit if because of these extenuating circumstances for this past year.
Possibly, yeah. And I know this isn't the first time we've seen energy rates. When I first started, it was very volatile. And at that time, we were using like a 4-year average to help spread that out. I actually don't think we're supposed to do that. So I've stopped doing it that way.
But it seems to be more responsive if we use a shorter timeline. And that's why I was wondering, given the specific circumstances we're in now, if that would, but maybe what we could do is, and I say this like on top of all the other things you do, if you start to see that this becomes impactful, I would be open for us to revisit this.
Yeah, and like you say, New Ulm, or Les maybe is the one that said it, New Ulm is going to buy down some of that cost, and they're going to allow people to spread it out over 5 months. Now, I don't know what other communities like Sleepy Eye, and Springfield, and the rural, LP, and those companies are going to do for their customers, but the majority of our vouchers are used in New Ulm.
Sure.
So, we have a few out in the other areas of the county, but most of them are here in New Ulm. So hopefully what New Ulm is doing for their customers will help.
Is that a lot to ask of you?
No,
keep an
I mean,
eye on
I can
things or
keep an
whatever?
eye on it and,
Okay,
come back if
okay.
needed. Sure.
I just hope, what I'm thinking is if that's something that it does become an issue and we can respond to it more quickly, it may save us more of an issue a year from now, for instance, that we may be in a more serious situation, having to play catch-up or something like that. I don't know, so.
Yeah, we'll see how it
anyway.
goes.
Any other thoughts or? Otherwise, I guess let's call a roll for the vote then.
Okay, Commissioner Becker,
Yes.
Commissioner Fix,
Yes.
Commissioner Yanni,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson. Yes. Commissioner Schultz,
Yes.
President Brom.
Yes. Okay, we are down to item 6.1. Offering a resolution and waive the reading to accept a capital fund program grant award in the amount of $112,252. Again, is that Heather? Is that something?
Yeah, I guess I don't have a lot to say about it. This is our grant award for 2021, and it's up to the board whether they choose to accept it or reject it.
I'll offer the resolution, waive the reading, accepting the grant award in amount of $112,252.
Okay.
I'll second.
We have a first and second. Do we have anything earmarked for any of these funds yet, Heather?
I'm starting to look at projects. I've got one small project for you on this agenda. I have another small project I plan to bring next month. And then I'll really have to start looking at, if we have any major items that we should look at taking advantage of these funds to take care of.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Otherwise, we'll call the roll for the vote.
All right, Commissioner Becker,
Yes.
Commissioner Fix,
Yes.
Commissioner Yanni,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Schultz,
Yes.
President Brom.
Yes. Motion carries. Item 6.2 is the Broadway House Improvement Project.
All right, as I just mentioned, I have a small project here for you to consider. I call it in front of Broadway House. It's on the third north side of the building. There are 3 landscaping block planters, and then also there's a small patio that faces Broadway that has landscape block edging. The existing planters on the third north side are in need of replacement. In some areas, the bottom row of block has deteriorated from the sidewalk salt that we've used over the years, and several blocks have come loose and had to be removed. 2 of those planters have large mature locust trees in them, and the other planter just has like flowers planted in it. So in the planters that have the trees, the tree roots are pushing against the block, causing them to shift. And so there's large gaps in between the blocks and some loose blocks. So this project would include removing that existing block and replacing it with a poured concrete. The poured concrete planters would be stronger and better able to resist the roots of the trees from pushing it apart over time, because there would be no joints or seams with this type of concrete wall. The patio area on the Broadway side of the building has the landscaping block border, and that started to shift and come loose over time as well. So there's areas where the border has fallen apart. This project would include removing that border and replacing it with a poured concrete edging. That's kind of a newer landscaping feature that you've probably seen around town. People are doing it at their houses, and it looks very nice. I've attached photos of the existing planters to show the problem areas as well as the patio border. And then I also included an example of what the new poured concrete planters and patio edging would look like. We're estimating the total project cost to be around $10,000. As part of the bid, we are going to ask for alternate bids to add color and texture to the concrete, which would add cost to the overall project. And then when we bring the bids to you, you would have the choice if you just want to go with the base bid or if you want to add the additional cost to add color and texture. This project would be paid for with the 2020 Capital Fund grant, which has remaining $91,600 in addition to the new grant we just received for 2021. So are there any questions on any of that?
Heather, when you went out and kind of walked through this, was there a person from city staff available with you?
No, first I went and looked at it. It was brought to my attention that some of the blocks had fallen off. One of the tenants called, so I went over there, and then I called a local vendor to go up and take a look at it to let me know if it could be repaired, if they could glue those blocks back on. And they indicated that that was not possible, but I did ask them to remove the blocks that had fallen, and just get rid of them for me so they weren't laying on the sidewalk. And then I asked them to look at giving me an estimate on replacing it with the same landscaping block like we have now. They came back and said they recommended that we remove the trees and plant smaller trees because of the problem with the roots, pushing out against it. And so then I talked to the city engineering staff because I know anytime we talk about removing trees, that gets people upset. They went and looked at them and they said, those trees are really healthy. I really don't want to see them taken down. And that's where they came up with the concept of doing a poured concrete replacement planter instead in order to save the trees that we've got there.
Are any of these on public property, or is this all on EDA owned land?
The, where the trees are would probably be considered public property because it's on the sidewalk, city sidewalk.
Okay, do we need any sort of clearance or okay from the city to go ahead?
I don't think so because it is our property, and as
Okay.
it being our property, it's ours to maintain, just as it would be if there were issues with the city sidewalk on our property.
Makes sense. I
Yeah.
just didn't want us to step on anybody's
Yeah,
toes
no,
or
good
whatever.
question. So
Do you know about how long the lifespan is left on those trees?
I didn't ask that.
No, we can get that information from Jeff Henderson.
Okay, I was just curious, because if it's only like 5 or 7 years, do you think, at that point, I don't know.
I wondered about that too, only because the tree's going to continue to grow. And if we do like just a poured concrete, that's fine, but as a tree grows, that's going to go too. And if we just take the tree out, which I don't like to do either, and put a smaller one in for the time being, will it have a 20-year lifespan? I mean, will the concrete hold up for like 20 years? Or, are we looking at maybe 5 years now?
Yeah, and I don't know I'm not a tree expert. I know that Jeff Anderson, when he went and looked at it, it was his opinion that they're healthy trees. And that gives me the impression that he thinks they're going to be around a while. There's never a guarantee with trees. Any new disease could come in, or, things could happen, or we could have a bad storm and the tree could need to, be taken down. So yeah, I don't have an answer to that question.
Do you know about how long ago we did the landscaping that's there now, the blocks?
Okay. They were, yeah, it's in here. They were constructed in 2003.
Okay.
So almost 20 years we've gotten out of those planters, which actually I looked up, and those actually should have lasted longer, but I think because of the sidewalk salt and the roots, we just didn't get the lifespan we should have out of that landscaping block. And I don't know either with a mature tree like that, how much growing they'll do and how much the roots will grow. I think that's more with a younger tree, you're going to see a lot of growth, but with a mature tree, I don't know how much root growth you'll see at this point.
I mean, that's something we can ask Jeff, but if Jeff, like Heather had mentioned, if Jeff says that it's healthy, it probably has a decent lifespan left.
Yeah, I would agree to defer to their expertise, and if they've looked at it already and feel this is a workable solution.
Yeah, and again, as far as capital fund projects, $10,000 is a small cost.
Well, yeah, and the way it appears today, it seems like it's an accident waiting to happen. I would think we would want to.
Yeah, we need to do something with them. We
Yeah,
can't leave them
yeah.
in disrepair like they are, so.
Yeah, and I like the look of that poured concrete edging too. I'm going to offer a motion to approve this project and authorize staff to solicit bids.
I'll second that motion.
We have a first and a second. Is there any additional comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll call the roll then for the vote. Heather?
Commissioner Betker?
Yes.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Yanni?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Schultz?
Yes,
President Brom?
Yes. Motion carries. So, next item, 6.3, approve the EDA claims list, March of 2021.
I'll make a motion to approve the EDA list of March 9th, 2021.
I'll second.
First and second. So, Heather, next month is when we can expect maybe a little increase to the utility bills for Broadway House, or?
Yes.
Okay, so we all should take notice now to,
Yeah, in fact, I had one of the employees over in the PUC office mention to me that the Broadway House natural gas bill is quite high for February, which obviously there was a price spike, but also our usage was higher than normal, and she was asking me about that. We actually usually run on city steam for heat. We have hot water heat over there for the apartments.
oh, I was not aware of that.
However, when there is a cold snap like we had with the polar vortex, we do switch over to the natural gas boilers in order to provide adequate heat for our tenants. And so unfortunately, we have the perfect storm of having to switch over to the boilers and have that price spike. So next month, you'll probably fall off your chair when you see the utility bill.
There's your warning. Okay.
Yes.
Any other comments or discussion? Hearing none, let's call the roll for the vote.
Commissioner Betker?
Yes.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Yanni?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Schultz?
Yes,
President Brom?
Yes, the motion carries. Next item, 7.1, Get It Ready Single Family Rehab Program.
Commission President and Commissioners, before you have a new single-family rehab program that we would like to get off the ground. As you know, constructing new houses is not affordable to new families, first-time home buyers. And so what we would like to do with this program is have a pool of money available. What we're asking is $120,000 to fix up the bones of a house, because sometimes, people first-time home buyers don't have the money to fix up a house, weatherization, subfloors, a lot of non-cosmetic items, as it were. Or you have, the senior population that wants to sell their home, but they can't get what they're looking for because of those same issues. And they don't want to take out another mortgage. They don't want to do anything along those lines because they're kind of close to retirement. They just kind of want to sell their home or something like that. So that's where this loan would fall into place. So again, it would be all your weatherization needs, roof, doors, windows, your subfloor, any electrical updates, any heating updates, so your HVAC needs, and then sewer and water line. And so that is something that we threw in there because New Ulm has I wouldn't say a unique problem, but a problem that's not common to a lot of other cities is we do have some houses in New Ulm do have long sewer services. And that was an issue that was brought up sometime last year that someone had to repair one of their sewer lines. And they had to do it during the winter, so it roughly cost them about $40,000 to fix that. And so this loan would essentially be able to help individuals with those issues as well. It would be a 10-year loan at 2%. The only fees we would be asking for would be $60 for a credit report and $50 for a title search. Those would be the only two fees associated with this loan. And if you are 65 and older, there are no payments and no interest accrued on this loan, and it would just be due at the time you sell your house. And so that way, someone who wants to get their house ready, essentially to sell, they don't have any payments, they're not taking out a mortgage, they just have this here, and it's just due when they sell their house. But first-time home buyers, anyone under the age of 65, it would be just a normal loan, 2% at 10 years. And the minimum amount would be $5,000 and the maximum would be $40,000. So potentially we could do as low as $3,000, but we can probably do as much as, as $12,000. So.
I have a question just for the over 65. So would you need any type of assessment of the house to make sure that they would be having that $40,000 to pay back? Because there may be some instances where that wouldn't be possible.
Yeah, so part of that is we'll do our due diligence on our end to look at property value and then looking at home inspection. We would have Elwood Zabel go out and inspect to make sure the major items are being corrected, and then when the work is done to have the final inspection from Elwood as well.
Perfect, thank you.
Would we require like written bids for the type of work to be done and kind of oversee and facilitate that?
Yes, at least one written bid is due from a contractor. We would recommend getting two, just so you know what the prices are and you can, hopefully save some money and not have to take out a larger loan than you need. But one bid is required.
So would we fund those to the contractors as the work is completed, or do we just advance the money directly to the property owner?
Part of, in here, it says that we would make the payments directly to the homeowner when the projects are done. But knowing how the contracting world works, sometimes they ask for some of the money up front. So that'll be one subtle change that we'll make is we'll just give it to the homeowners up front so they can make payments as necessary and they don't have to rely on us. Because again, the Elwood is still going to go out and have to inspect that the work is done. So that's kind of the measure there. And we will have the written bid so we should know how much it costs.
Chris, do you think these loans are going to come in at that higher end? And if they are, we're really only helping 3 people.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if either we should reduce the loan to 30,000 max or increase the 120.
Yeah, I mean, that can be an EDA decision. Again, it's a pilot program to see, really what the need is out there. The need is there, but it's marketing the program, and we can, again, look at next year funding it for more. There's other sources out there. Dan, Heather, and I worked on the Federal Home Loan Bank out of Des Moines to get the program up. So once we have a program set, I think that'll help our score. We just didn't score high enough when we had our initial application. But once we can prove that, yes, 40,000 is what is needed to help these homes, we can ask the Federal Home Loan Bank to help match the funds to increase that. So there's other opportunities. This right now is a pilot program to get it out there, work out all the kinks and the bugs to make sure we have a program that fits what we need it to do.
So Chris, do you envision us funding this then in years into the future? Or do you think, as far as the EDA's investment, this 120 would be the only amount that we might look forward to, and then going forward, we'd look for other sources to continue funding this?
So, with the home loan bank, we worked on that application. They do look to see if we would be matching funds or contributing something to it. So, depending on how this program, how well this program works, I would ask to continue it moving forward, or we can reduce the amount to, maybe we do 80,000 instead of 120, and slowly build that up over time.
And I think part of it too is we would want to assess how much of this money is going to revolve back to us and how much of it's going to be deferred through that 65 and up crowd, and kind of get an assessment of how that money all kind of plays out and gets funded through the course of the year. I guess what I would say, and I kind of understand where Les is coming from, my concern would be this money would go out too fast, and then we've got some people, but I think we could maybe reassess that even later this year if that were the case, and then even start looking. I think the Federal Home Loan Bank, that is usually due toward the end of May, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so
we may be on a short window for
Yeah.
this year anyway, if that's something we were thinking of. But at least I think we would get some mileage under us with this to see and kind of make an assessment as to how its success is working, and then kind of take it from there.
Yep.
But, yeah. I think these numbers, I mean, like you were talking about, a replacement of a sewer system in the winter is the perfect storm of a bad scenario for a homeowner. That it would be nice, we'd have an opportunity to step in and again, I think in the bigger picture with housing the way it is, I think it's imperative of us to try to, as best we can, keep the existing housing stock as in good a order as we can and do what we can to facilitate that right now. And I don't know what else. I mean, building new houses is a very expensive undertaking right now.
I have a question. Are there other, obviously there are other cities doing something similar to this. Have we done any checking with that to see, when you're advancing somebody, a significant amount of money, to make sure that that really is all going, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That it's going directly to the bills that it should.
Yeah, and that's kind of where, the bids come in, and then the project are completed, we'll ask for, the receipts for those amounts. It's just kind of on the back end, the loan tracking, we do that with technically all our loans. Our EDA rehab loan is kind of the same way. Here's the money up front so you can do the work, and then you turn in the receipts as the projects get done, or when the inspector goes out, they take pictures to make sure that the work that was done, was actually completed.
So do we place a mortgage on the property?
For this one, yes, this one we will be placing a mortgage on the property, yeah.
So in here, it says that for applicants that are 65 and over, no monthly payment, the principal amount will be due at the time of sale. So if they don't sell, if they're 65, they don't sell it for 15 years. The 10-year, in which it says loans are repaid, 2% for 10 years, that's exempt.
Yeah, that
It's
is
just,
exempt.
whether it's 15, 20 years, whatever it is, there's a mortgage on it.
And so, realistically, what we're targeting is the seniors that are looking to sell their homes. Again, it's still open to anyone, but it really is targeting the seniors that are looking to sell their home, maybe downsize, but they haven't touched their home in 10 or 15 years, and they do have some of those minor repairs that would just help the home value. Or on the flip side, if someone, a first-time home buyer comes in, buys this house, they have means to get a low-interest loan to help them do some of those same upgrades.
And
perfect.
we're not placing any income restrictions on any applicants in this program, right?
No.
Okay.
No. And that's kind of what sets us apart from a lot of the other programs that are out there currently. Is there's income restrictions. You can't have, one of the other rehab programs through the Minnesota Valley Action Council, you can't have assets exceeding $25,000, and there are very restrictive HUD income limits on how you can get that money.
Kind of like beautifying New Ulm, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I like it. I'll make a motion to approve a new single-family rehabilitation loan program in the amount of $120,000.
Second.
We have a first and second. Is there any additional comments or discussion? Hearing none, then we'll call the roll for the vote.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Yanni?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Schultz?
Yes.
President Brom?
Yes. Motion carries. Next item is item 8.1, Economic Development Director, Assistant City Manager's Activity Report.
Commission President, Commissioners. So kind of the only really big thing of note on this one is the relief grant. There are still 2 businesses that I know I have not received applications from. So I know we were going to close it at the end of February, but I'm going to wait till I get those 2 applications. So I'm going to outreach to them again to get those applications in. And once I receive those 2 applications, we'll end up closing the grant. I did close a loan with Midwest Precision Tool and Manufacturing. And so that one was a city revolving loan, but that was a $50,000 loan that we did for equipment and startup costs. And then I did close on the loan with a Hive, so that was an EDA rehab loan that was given out in the amount of $16,000. So that will be on next month's report as a commercial rehab property, but we did close on that loan yesterday. Our Salesforce customer relationship management software, that is almost up and running. We're working out some of the minor kinks, and we're trying to add some information so we can collect data on utility customers, whether they're large industrial, small commercial, just so when we generate reports, we can sort by those fields, and then just working with the downtown action team to do some projects downtown that I think it'll be really exciting, but I'll wait for downtown action team to make those announcements.
Any other questions or discussion?
I'll make a motion to accept the Economic Development Director, Assistant City Manager's report for February 2021 activities.
I'll second that.
We have first and a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll now call for the roll call vote.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Fix?
Yes.
Commissioner Yanni?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Schultz?
Yes.
President Brom?
Yes. Motion is carried. All right. We have come to the conclusion of our meeting. It's adjourned.